Welcome to African Lanese. We are in mourning. Je suis tourmenté. Mother Africa, with a very heavy heart, filled with rage, frustration, pain, shock, horror, and disbelief for the first time, barged into my room without knocking my door and said to me, "My child, my son, my majestic, precious African being, wake up! Wake up!" And I sincerely mean wake up. I do not mean wake up just from sleep. No, absolutely not. I mean wake up and chart your own course in life. Link up with your peers. Bind your thoughts and ideas together for the good of Mother Africa. There are evil forces out there that will like to perpetually suppress you. You cannot fight it alone as an individual. You have to unite with your kind to fight that evil. That is the only way Mother Africa will regain her rightful place and be revered in Africa and the rest of the world. Feeling disheveled, Kwaku hugged Mama Africa and said, "Where is my Uncle George? He normally kisses things better. Where is he?" he bleated. Mother Africa suddenly froze to the realization she had to tell Kwaku, aged 10, "Your Uncle George will not be coming by anymore." Mother Africa muscled all her strength and gave the poor lad a very tight hug to try to ease the sorrow. The boy's immature or growing heart was breaking, and Mother Africa tightened her grip on hugging Kwaku tightly. But Kwaku's sorrow suddenly turned into uncontrollable rage. "Let go of me," he shouted. "What on earth do you mean?" he asked. My favorite Uncle George was meant to have turned up to my school play yesterday via video conferencing. I was playing the part of Othello, and I wanted him to be proud of me. But I noticed he didn't log on. I wanted to ask him why he didn't join the call or video conference today. "Why is Uncle George not coming by anymore?" he asked. "You are too young to understand, Kwaku," Mother Africa responded. "Stop!" Kwaku yelled out, which caught Mother Africa by surprise. Kwaku looked straight into Mother Africa's eyes and orated boldly, "I am not too young to understand. This is a country where we've all witnessed a fraction of police officers infected with the ugly virus called racism, or UVR, who openly, with impunity, execute ultra-virus, brutally murder Africans with intent, and viciously and unfairly target Africans by planting banned substances on them just to arrest and imprison them." Kwaku continued. "Mother," he said, "have you forgotten just 3 days ago the police barged into our neighbor's house at 2 a.m. in the morning, interrupting our sleep by searching their house without a warrant, and under the guise they could smell weed? I am not too young to understand." Have you forgotten? Anytime there is an incident of police brutality on the news, you always tell me to wake up and tell me to be vigilant. You've even requested I am not to watch certain television programs because those shows distort the truth. Mother Africa, he called out, I want to know what happened to my favorite Uncle George. Okay, Mother Africa said. Give me a couple of minutes, she said. I shall tell you what happened to your Uncle George after I have freshened up. While Mother Africa was freshening up, Kwaku went onto his phone and saw the newsreels talking about the brutal murdering of his Uncle George. He started to dial his telephone number, but immediately stopped himself. How is Auntie going to cope, he thought. Kwaku, aged 10, sat quietly with tears streaming down his face in his room. I hope that police officer who interrupted the flow of oxygen to my uncle's brain suffers a similar fate one day, he soliloquized. Mother Africa, after gaining her composure, tapped or knocked on Kwaku's bedroom door, but the trauma was too much for Kwaku. He appeared to have frozen in time. Mother Africa gently entered his room and witnessed her son had seen the images on television. Not sure what to do, sat next to Kwaku and said, I am sorry for your loss, she whispered. I know it's hard for you because your daddy suffered a similar fate at the hands of the police. Would you like me to leave you alone, she asked. He replied, yes. Please keep heart, my son. I know you loved your Uncle George very much. As Mother Africa exited Kwaku's room, she felt her heart beating violently. So much so, she feared her heart might shoot out of her chest. She had to swiftly adjust because she has a 10-year-old who has been robbed of his youth by some group of thugs calling themselves the police. Why would a police officer handcuff an individual and then interrupt the flow of oxygen to the brain for 8 minutes 46 seconds by pressing on Uncle George's neck? The paramedics, upon their arrival, noticed he was still pressing on his neck, rolling or rocking him with his knee to ensure there is no life in him, with his hands arrogantly positioned in his pocket. The paramedics, shocked by what he witnessed, had to tap the police officer a couple of times for him to remove himself from the deceased, proving to us all the disdain and loathe that police officer and his retinue have for Africans, proving to us all the arrogance police officers have in executing ultra-virus that's operating outside the jurisdictions of their duties with impunity. Kwaku played the scene over and over in his mind, with Mother Africa powerlessly looking on. Mother Africa called out Kwaku. How can someone detest another so bad that he felt it within his right to kill, to murder, to unfairly take someone else's life and expect to live peacefully? From what your grandfather told me, she says, over 500 years ago, The UVR, ugly virus called racism, UVR, was released into the atmosphere by Pope Alexander VI as far back as 1493 in the form of a papal or decree or a statute or in modern day law authorizing Spain and Portugal to go around the world to brutally colonize and convert the Native Americans. I guess greed got the better of him. The decree also gave them the permission to colonize and enslave the people of Africa, thus committing violent acts against mankind under the guise of the Bible, religion, and in this case, under the guise of the law. Sadly, she says, upon all the so-called claim to civilization, the world has not been able to find a vaccine or a cure to eradicate this disease, the ugly virus called racism, or known as UVR. Yet today, you have rich men and women with no medical qualification prancing around the African continent, desperate to impose untested vaccines onto the people of Africa to emasculate the men and to sterilize the women to prevent them from passing on their genes. Can you seriously imagine a world without the African? I don't think so. These are some of the reasons I say to you, wake up Africa. The struggle for your liberty is not over. Far from it. Kwaku, please keep heart, says Mother Africa. I am sorry you will not see your Uncle George again. Africans have had it and have amplified their voices. Those thugs who call themselves police officers have been arrested, all 4 of them, and they will hopefully be charged and convicted and put away till their lives expire. My fellow Africans, Mother Africa says, it's time to start looking towards Africa. Africa desperately needs you. As the saying goes, 2 heads are better than 1. Work together, love each other, support each other, protect each other, and fight for each other. There is nothing wrong with fighting amongst yourselves, but must remain alert because when your home is on fire, always put your differences aside and bind together to put out the fire. To the African man who is constantly being targeted, you are majestic. We love you. To the African woman who is constantly nursing the wounds of the children who lose their fathers, we salute you. Our deepest condolence to George Floyd's family.